Hey everybody, happy Monday. Early as I promised, though not as early as I said I was going to start, but nonetheless, didn't expect to start off with this topic, but hey, may fortune favor the foolish. I saw an opportunity and I took them, like the old Tammany bosses. I saw my opportunities and I took them. And the thing I took, okay, was to basically put out this fact that Jerry Jones takes a knee with Dallas Cowboys players, and I have Oakland Raiders Las Vegas news, and this is an abbreviated Zenny62 on YouTube live right now, and abbreviated because of my get rid of my voice there, because of my responsibilities that I have to take care of later. And so I'm going to keep you all up to date. Hey Barry, how you doing? And I'm going to tweet this out. It's been a heck of an interesting week so far, and it's just Monday. It's just a Monday. Hey Jamal, haven't seen you in some time. How are you? And the Real Raider appears, who says, Real Raider Juice says, "Hi Zinni, I'm in the air right now on my way home from our BS game." You are, let me get this straight, you are on YouTube in the air? What airline are you on that's allowing this? Because United Airlines doesn't allow you to get a stream, or are you doing, how are you doing it? I'm curious, let me know. Is it through your phone? You getting the chat through your phone? How's that working out? Maybe, I'm interested to hear what the Real Raider tells us about how that is working for him, because I'd like to do that. Now, I'm going to, wow, for some particular reason, all of a sudden we have people here and then not. And that's wild how that does that. I don't know what's going on with that. So I'm going to continue to calibrate this and then change the edit. And the Real Raider says, yeah, I'm American. Oh, you're American Airlines. Okay. Huh. It's cool that American Airlines allows video streaming because United does not. Why? I don't know. Used to. For like a stretch, used to. And it's the GoGo app. Oh, okay. So you're using something called the GoGo app. The GoGo app. I get you. The GoGo app. All right. And Jamal Mills says, I thought United has internet. United does have internet, Jamal, but you can't do video streaming. Last I checked, that was Friday, But you can send email, you can browse, but you can't use YouTube unless they've changed something. But that's what I thought. Now he's using something called the GoGo app, right? And hey Eric, how you doing? And Jamal Mills says that's not cool. I completely agree. It is not cool. It is not cool at all. It's funny, there's like 5 of you here, but it says 1 watching. That's really weird. So something's a little fishy here with going on with this stuff. I don't know what's how that's working, but it is unusual. Jerry Jones, I'm kind of cutting this chase. I don't know. Jerry Jones has decided to take a knee with his Dallas Cowboys players. And GoGo Air, actually, okay. And that's really something else. If you didn't see what I'm talking about, you can actually go to Zenny62 on YouTube right here and see my video version of it. There it is. See? There he is. Jerry Jones takes a knee. Dallas Cowboys owner with its players. And not only did he do that before the start of Monday Night Football game, Jason Garrett did well. Dallas Cowboys head coach, Jason Garrett. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about that, except to say that he did it. It had to be acknowledged. It's the #1 trend on Twitter. I had to, as I said at the onset of this video, I had to take advantage of the keyword and talk about it. It would have been irresponsible not to. Just completely irresponsible not to. Now, what what this means is that the NFL has risen up against the president, and I never thought I'd see a day like this. That's why I said Trump should resign. Now, here's my point. Some of you overreacted, those of you who, I'm waiting for more to come in, because there's some people I want to make a point to here, and Joel says, I didn't think he would participate. I didn't either, he did. But some of you, and like for example, Karen Christensen commented, as did another person, Dave Lawrence, said he wanted his money back because I said that Trump should resign. But their comments really didn't deal with that. Out of the 6 paragraphs that I spoke and wrote, only 1 paragraph concerned the anthem issue. And I only pointed to the anthem issue from a factual perspective. I said that oh, that's interesting. Hold on, Brady Webb. Keep that in mind. I would like to know more about that. But anyway, as far as the anthem, I only pointed out that Donald Trump has a smokescreen, and he is keeping our gaze in this direction while he does something over in this direction, and keeps us off of the focus of how he got into power, let alone what he's doing. As my friend Lars pointed out in my conversation with him earlier today, he said, no, it's not just the Russia thing. He doesn't want you to know what he's doing with healthcare and a lot of other stuff. He just wants you to be divided. And as Drader Gann says, the Trump should resign, no distraction master. That's what I'm saying. It's got nothing to do with the anthem. You know, Donald Trump used the whole Confederate, statue thing in the same way. But in 2015, you're saying, well, oh, hey, you want to tear him down, that's a bad thing. But in 2015, Donald Trump himself said that taking down the Confederate statues was a good idea and they should be relegated to a museum. He said that in 2015. But he goes to these Southerners, which is why he spends time in Huntsville, Alabama, because he believes that they're gullible enough to fall for his crap. And it's crap. They're being led down a path, being fooled. And some of the people that read my blog, my video blog, well, they didn't really read it. They were fooled too. They just saw the headline where I mentioned, NBA, NFL, and black athletes, and they reacted as if that was what I was talking about, and they didn't listen to what I said, even though they said they did. They didn't, because it had nothing to do with that, right? It was a trick. It was a trick, folks. And I was making the point by demonstration of how easily people can be duped in today's media. That was the whole point, all right? That was the whole point, okay? That was the entire point. So, that was what I was trying to get after, and that's what I did. All right, now, I'm going to get to the real news in a second, because I got some real news. And I mean real news, okay? I mean some real, yeah, I said that again, real news. And I'm going to say that one more time. I got some real news, dude. We used to say that. I got some real news, dude. Yeah, I got some real news, dude. Okay, Zenny, what is the real news? Well, the real news is this. It's a Las Vegas news update. And the Las Vegas news update is that, according to my friend and source Stanley Washington, the activist who's trying to make sure that people of color and women get jobs, construction jobs on the Vegas project, however it turns out, UNLV or Raiders or both, he said to me that, hold on a second, he said to me that, how do you put it? Right here. He said that he was going to, first of all, they're planning a fish fry for this Saturday. He and a number of organizations that are advocates for making sure that blacks, Latinos, women of color, women get jobs on construction sites. They're going to have a fish fry this Saturday. Location to be announced. He was going to send me something, I thought, by the time I put this on. But he said some other things that are really more pointed to Stanley Washington. Stanley Washington said that he and his colleagues requested a meeting with Mark Bedane and Mark Davis, and to this date, which is Saturday, excuse me, what did I just say Saturday? Monday, September 25th, to this date, he said that they have not contacted him. Now you say, why did I say Saturday? I was thinking about the fish fry, which is this Saturday. But today, Monday, up to this date, Stanley Washington and his colleagues have not heard from Mark Davis or Mark Bourdain to express any interest in following up to sit down with the group and hash out a plan for minority hiring on the project. They're leaving it, the Raiders, all to the contractor on the stadium, Mortensen, and that's it. And how are they doing right now? I don't know. No one's posting these, weekly sign-up numbers like women and minority and everything else. It would be nice if they did, and someone should call for that. Meanwhile, Stanley said that he also has a great deal of anger for Clark County Commissioner Steve Sisolak. Steve Sisolak, who is running for governor, according to Stanley Washington, at the July 13th, July 13th Las Vegas Stadium Authority meeting, told a room full, this is what Stanley Washington is saying, a room full of African Americans to leave the room and basically make room for whites who were there for the meeting. He walked in and said, if you're not here on the Raiders issue, leave the room. And that's what Stanley Washington was standing outside. He got wind of it. He's the person that organized people from West Las Vegas to come in, black, to see about jobs. He told them all, he being Steve Sisolak, to leave the room. So, guess what? Not surprised, Washington does not want Steve Sisolak as governor. In fact, this is his new nickname for Steve Sisolak. It is Steve Crow. You would say, what is Steve Crow? You ever heard of Jim Crow laws? Steve Crow, Jim Crow. So Steve Sisolak is, according to Stanley Washington, the new Jim Crow. Yeah, he said that to me today, he being Stanley Washington, okay? And I'm going to repeat that again in another standalone vlog. Now, he also says, he being Stanley Washington, that he's in contact with the NFL Players Association, and his co-partners on this, or partners on this effort, are in contact with the Players Associations of the National Basketball Association and Major League Baseball as well. Didn't mention hockey. They intend to do a full court press with the athletes who Stanley Washington says are basically fighting the same battle that they are. That's Mr. Washington's interpretation of what's going on in Las Vegas. He also said that the Raiders, he said this, okay? He said this. They have only 12 or 14 agreements talking about the paperwork, but there are sub-agreements of which add up to like 32 documents. But get this, he didn't know about the whole deadline with UNLV. So I asked him to follow up on that. So I'm excited to find out what he comes back with me about in terms of news from that. And then he told me this. He said, and I quote, "The Raiders better start making friends because they're making enemies around Las Vegas." And then after he said that to me, he goes, "Okay, I gotta go, but I'll talk to you later." Click. So I don't know what that means, folks. I gotta find out. But, whoo boy, the Raiders are in trouble down there, man. Oh, the Raiders are in trouble down there, man. Yeah, I said it. So, Michael says, Madrano says, Stanley Washington essentially wants the Raiders to give his people $150 million blank check. Not true. I know that for a fact it's not true. For one thing, that is way not true. And it's not his people. So, Michael, dig into the story, okay? And find out what's happening. It's not a $150 million blank check. What they wanted was a set of jobs that would, and other community benefits that equal $100 million, not $150 million. And they worked it out with Sheldon Adelson, okay? That is actually, when you look at the total construction of $1.9 billion. That's not a lot of money. That's far less, in fact, well, no, in terms of percentages, yeah, it's far less than what minority contractors got over here to build the Coliseum East Side and West Side refurbishments to bring the Raiders back from Los Angeles. So, wrong, man. Wrong. And don't be so quick to shut down a person's cause because they're of color and they're asking for something they didn't get. Let me explain something to you because this is really annoying to me, all right? And people, that's okay, Michael. That's okay. And I'm arguing with you, and it's great to argue when you disagree, okay? So don't let me intimidate you. That's not the intent. I'm just an intense guy. But my point is this, okay? And I say this, let's take race and color all out of the picture, all right? For a moment here. If you're starting a business of any kind, the difference between you and the person that got the VC help was that they got VC help. But getting venture capital help is simply asking for money. Everybody's asking for money to do something. There's nothing wrong with that. It could be me and my micro-angel investments. It could be something bigger down the pipe. Everything else. There's nothing wrong with that, okay? Nothing at all. Oh, by the way, I'm glad you pointed that out, Raider Gans, and so I will straighten. I'm glad you pointed that out because I was so busy on the phone with Mr. Washington. You just reminded me of something that I had forgotten to do, which I will do right this moment as a way of straightening out what you're talking about. Yeah, bear with me for a second. You ever notice like how cords like to get tied up with each other? It's like you're pulling on one cord and all of a sudden it's like the other cord meets this other cord like this, and it's like they're kind of like making love to each other and all this. They're like, come on, come on, get a room or don't get a room, right? And it's like, hey, untangle so I can get my job done, right? And the thing about it was that they weren't together when you first put them down. All of a sudden they somehow found a way to get together. It's really freaking annoying, folks. And it's kind of like, no, it's driving me nuts. Look, you guys have to untangle. Guys, gals, whatever. X and Y chromosomes. You gotta untangle. Alright? Like so. So I can untangling for a purpose. So that, voila, I can let go of this. And, see, they got tangled up again. See that? Got tangled up again. And I'm still trying to untangle them the other way. So now I gotta pull this way to untangle it from the other direction because they weren't tangled before. And this is quite literally, folks, the bane of my existence with respect to doing this stuff. So, hold on a second. Almost got it. I'm almost got it. But look at that. That's crazy. All right, look at how crazy that tangle is. All right, that really is locked in there, too. I didn't do that. But I got it undone. Woo! All right. Now, I did all that to do this, okay? Right here. Right here. Right here. I'm put your Starbucks. I got that. All right. Now put that up there. Click this on here. And no, this is not a clip-on tie, folks. It's a clip-on mic. And there we go. Mic'd up, which is what I intended to do at the start, but didn't. How's that? Okay, so had to untangle to get those things on there. Didn't, and so hey, that happens. Folks, you're getting natural vlogging at its best. That's what you get in a warm Bay Area day. So, one moment, please. And it is just that it's warm, excuse me. So a little programming note here while I'm doing this. Welcome to Zenny62 on YouTube Live. We're talking, oh, by the way, about Stanley Washington and his effort to get minorities jobs. And let me put it this way, okay? Hold on a second. Raider Gann says, untangling is kind of symbolic of American struggle with race. Somehow we get tangled. We really need to take time to untangle. I like that. Raider Gans is right. And Eric Young, how you doing, Eric? Woo! Eric is here. The problem is that people, for some particular reason, don't stop to just think. Whole purpose of being a Zinster is to stop and think, right? And I say that because we're in a society where people are too quick to judge and too quick to be against something. And we're in a very complex society. I mean, no question about it. It's really complicated. And people like to simplify the complicated. And sometimes, you know what, you just can't. So people get frustrated and they sort of come up with stuff, which has nothing to do with reality. The reality of having, first of all, let's take our gaze off the White House. Our credit system, we used to have more free credit around. We don't even have that, okay? We don't have that. So there are a lot of things we have to fix in society. But let me come back to talking about the Raiders in Las Vegas right now. Because, folks, again, Stanley Washington told me, oh boy, that the Raiders are making enemies in Las Vegas. And so I've got to find out what he means by that. What does he mean by making enemies in Las Vegas? I mean, I beyond his group, okay? There's something there that, something's wrong there, all right? Something is off. Now, what I think it is that simply that the Raiders, as I said before, have to spend $1 billion, $15 million that they don't have to spend in Oakland. They should stay in Oakland. But they're putting on this face that they're committed to Las Vegas, even though they're trying to angle for an extra year here to 2019, and I'm also told 2020. So there you go. That is, and I told Stanley Washington that. Stanley didn't know. I said, Stanley, do you realize that the Raiders are trying to get a lease extension here to 2020? He goes, well, I know they're going to open it. What? He didn't know that, okay? So you've got the Raiders playing both sides down the middle. You got the Raiders thinking to the Las Vegas people, yeah, we're going to be there. The Las Vegas people don't know about the extension unless they read maybe my publication or listen to this or the Las Vegas Sun. And then, of course, we have the other truth on this end, all right? Raider Nation says optional lease extension. Raider, what does that mean? Give me the full speech. Now, those of you who are watching this video on demand are wondering what I'm yelling about. My viewers chat and they post these messages in the screen in front of my eyes, like right now. Karen Christensen is here. Karen, how are you doing? And I have a message for you. And I just want to say that what I was trying to explain was, first of all, it was a trick. And I was asking people to simply pay it. I was going to see if people were actually going to pay attention to the entire blog post I read as a video blog, right? Because it had nothing to do with a national anthem deal at all. And my point is that the president is duping us and duping you into talking about that, okay, and sucking you in, and it's like, okay, the protest has nothing to do with the national anthem. It has everything to do with where it started, was police brutality against black men. That's where it started, okay? That's where it started. It started with Colin Kaepernick, who, hey, you want to know my view on that? I think Colin Kaepernick was absolutely right to do that, but he was wrong to say don't vote. You vote, okay? Now, Raider Nation, talking about the Vegas thing, says 2020 is a just in case, and they can opt out if the stadium is completed in time. Raider Nation, that is not the case at all, okay? First of all, 2020 is not an opt-out. And you have to understand something, that the Raiders have until, depending on who you listen to, either April 17th or, as I told you, May 16th, to get their document act together, including the development agreement. If they don't do that, the entire project, and this is according to the Southern Nevada Tourism and Investment Act, turns over to UNLV. UNLV can petition the governor's office to take control of the project. They just have to raise $200 million. Sheldon Adelson can write them a check, and will write them a check for that, like that. Okay? Like that. Bingo. End game. End of story. Okay? That's where the Raiders sit. They can't just luxuriate in time and, oh, we can get it done, and, oh, you know, it's okay. No, it's not okay. It's not okay. The Raiders are under a clock. They're under a big freaking clock. You notice what I'm saying? It's huge. And it's going tick, tock, tick, tock, tick. Now, Raider Nation says, I'm talking about the requested Oakland extension for 2020. Oh, okay, I get you. Okay, cool. Well, I couldn't tell because the comment you wrote was short and it was kind of, you can read the other way, right? Joseph Binsman, how you doing? Joseph says, hello, Zenny. I definitely agree. The kneeling protest is all about against police brutality, racial inequality, and institutional racism. All three need to go and should have a long time ago. Exactly. The real overarching problem with all this is that when this stuff was really going on and our folks were being treated much terribly, now you've got people integrated all over the place and it's beautiful, which folks tend to forget. But when it was happening then, we didn't have social media. Now we are bombarded with media. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, every single second, we get messages of all kinds. Can you imagine if we had social media during the time of the passage of the 1964 Civil Rights Amendment? Can you imagine if we had social media around the time of World War II? If we had social media in World War II, I bet someone would tweet out a photograph of Hitler with one of his mistresses. I'll bet you that, okay? Someone would have tweeted out a photograph. Can you imagine of that? All right? It would have completely changed everything. The Germans would have gone ape. You don't have no idea what would happen. But now we have social media, and social media is the giant mirror that is before society, and we look up and we say, do we look like that or not? The trouble is that giant media is being manipulated by some of late, and some people have used it to get into certain places of power, like the White House, okay? But can you imagine having, blogs and Facebook and Twitter and YouTube around the time of JFK? Maybe somebody would have posted a famous, behind the scenes photograph of JFK and Marilyn Monroe, if you know what I mean. All right? Think about it, okay? Think about what I'm talking about here. I'm serious. That's how different stuff is today. All right? Okay? John Davis says tyranny is wrong. Raider Gann says, fellow Zinsters, can we all agree? Let me get that one. Can we all agree? Racism, police brutality, and inequality are wrong? Yes, we can all agree on that. Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th is here. We have a person who has a screen name. Where's John Marks when you need him? Jason Voorhees. Hey, Jason Voorhees. You want to know something? I know who you really are. Yes, I know who you really are. You're Kane Hodder. Kane Hodder played Friday the 13th. Not one, not two, not three, but 4 times. 5 times. How do I know? Well, I interviewed the man. That's how I know, okay? It's on YouTube. Check it out. So anyway, check it out. Now, Joseph Binsman says, I'm a good man. Yes, you are. CNN guest Bakari Sellers brought up an interesting point on Anderson Cooper. He said people have more of a problem with a knee on the ground than policeman's knee on Freddie Gray's back. Well, yeah, it's the whole visualization thing, but also, yeah, people have a problem supporting other people. They have no problem seeing, justice done to a person that treats an animal inappropriately. But they seem to have a problem seeing justice done to a person that treats a person inappropriately, especially if that person's behind a badge. And that's the problem. We have to get to a point in society where we have a universal idea that things are right and wrong. And we don't make exceptions at all. We don't make exceptions. So, Corey Brown says, I agree with what Cap protested. In fact, I'm just not sure football is the best arena. Nobody's getting beat and shot on the football field. Thank God. Hey, Octavio, how you doing? How you doing? I think I scared Karen Christensen off because Karen's like, no, I wasn't getting after you, Karen, but hey, look, I wanted to make that case because, again, I put out that blog post as a test. And a lot of people just focused on the whole anthem thing, and they didn't listen to what I was saying. The President of the United States is gaming us. And you should not allow your country to be gamed. That's what I'm saying, all right? Okay, thanks, Karen. That's all I'm saying, Karen. That's all I'm saying, all right? It's not a matter of Democrat or Republican. It's got nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with tyranny and control. You should never allow your mind to be played like that. I put that out there with that title to see how people will react, to see if they would actually stop and say, well, let me listen to this guy before I react. You know, that's the whole thing about the Zinster stuff we've talked about, right? Okay? That's all I'm saying. And I saw your reply, Karen, and you were saying about, you focused on the anthem thing. One of my paragraphs out of 6 had to do with that, and I wasn't talking either for or against the anthem. I simply said the president was using it to manipulate us. That's all I was saying. But you took it like, oh, I'm talking about that. And I wasn't. At all. I didn't even say that in my comments. At all. And I read my comments from my written statement. And the reason I'm saying this is that don't let yourself be duped. People, don't do that. Stop and say, hey, look, why am I reacting? What's the bigger picture here? What's this person really saying? How many times have we said that with respect to the whole Vegas issue, right? It's the same thing. It's the same thing. I'm not talking about agreeing with me. I'm talking about listening to what I said. Because what you wrote was far different than what I said. All right? When I go to a game, I stand for the national anthem. That's me. But I don't criticize anybody. I never criticized anyone who didn't. And that goes back 30 years. 30 years. But I understand what the issue is. But I also understand when we're being manipulated by someone bringing it up. The same guy that would bring up the Confederate flag issue or the statue issue, who, 2.5 years ago said, oh, it's okay, they should be put in a museum. So if the guy says that before he's president, and then he becomes president and says the reverse, what does it mean? He's trying to manipulate you. You get what I'm saying? Don't let yourself get manipulated. You saw the headline and reacted. And it's a microcosm of where we are today. It's also how we got this whole Vegas thing. Oh, Raiders are going to work. It's going to work. How do we know? Did anybody bother to read anything? No. You see what I'm getting at? And the Raiders believe their own print. So these topics are very much similar. They really are. That's why I put them out there. So now that you're mad and you want to... Okay, I get it. But the whole point is... Excuse me, that kind of hurt. Stop laughing, Karen. The whole point is that... It really did hurt. The whole point is that it's always a good idea to take a deep breath and exhale and relax, and then ask ourselves this magic question. Are we in a position to accept Mark Davis as a good owner if the Raiders stay in Oakland? Because there are a lot of people who criticized him. Even today, Octavio pointed out, and Octavio, you were absolutely right about the whole laughing thing. And he didn't come out like Jerry Jones did, standing with his players. But he did build the Raiders into the team that lost to the Redskins. Okay, all right. And also the same team that beat the Titans. But you can see what I'm getting at. This deal is going to fall apart. Mark my words, the deal is going to fall apart. Now, here's the other thing that could happen. And I hate to say it, but I would be dishonest if I didn't. If there is any truth to the idea that the NFL will let the Chargers go back to San Diego, or excuse me, not let, but encourage the Chargers with money. It's going to take money, another, $600 million or $300 million to go back. That means Inglewood Stadium is open. What's to stop the NFL from saying to the Raiders, hey, you know what? You want to go to LA? We got a spot for you. Thereby reopening the whole resolution that was originally written for Carson. That would be a bad deal for Oakland. And that's why it's really important for Oakland to act right now. Eric Madison says, Las Vegas is getting manipulated into buying a stadium that Raiders, you're right, Zinni. Corey Brown says Barney Fife would have been better as a president. Raider Gann says if they stay, I think he'll remove himself from the team. Raider Gann says before the league does. Michael Madrano says, one look at Trump's anger with protesting football players as they're not towing the company line well because the NFL receives Department of Defense money. He doesn't care about that, Michael. Donald Trump doesn't give one whiff about that. He cares about having you and I talk about that agenda to keep our gaze, our collective gaze off what he's doing, that Russian investigation and all the other crap that he's doing where he's ripping up, changes that Obama made for our better just because he doesn't like Obama. That's what he's doing. It's a gigantic game. You're playing right along with it, okay? I only point, this whole deal, including this Jerry Jones listing, was because it happens to be the top news story of the day. Check Twitter. Number one result, worldwide trends, Jerry Jones. What's the title here? Jerry Jones takes a knee. That's what that's all about. With Dallas Cowboys players. But you notice how I stuck the whole Oakland Raiders deal in there? Okay? It's called keywords, folks. Keywords. It's called media. This is how media is done today, and that's why I'm trying to explain. Media is used for better or worse today to manipulate people. Is it right? Hell no. Is it normal? Yes, it is. You have to be aware of when you're the pawn. That's the message here. If you're not aware of when you're a pawn, you know what? You can be fooled all kinds of ways many times of the day. And I did say that. Many times of the day. Okay? That's just a fact. So, do you want to be that person? Probably not. It happens. It happens. Welcome to Zenny62 on YouTube. Now, we've got Octavia Arias says the NFL should provide a platform for social issues so the players can stand for the anthem. And we've got Karen says, Kisha says, I liked how the Cowboys kneeled before the anthem. Yeah, that was cool. Raider Nation says, 750 million reasons the NFL won't do that. 750 million reasons. How about 1 billion, 15 million reasons they will? Let me tell you something. When this deal was designed for the Raiders and that $750 million was voted on, no one anticipated the Raiders having to shoulder $1 billion, $15 million in costs in addition to the $1.9 billion. So please stop saying that, oh, we got $750 million, because it sounds really ridiculous, okay? Let me explain something to you. It's not just $370 million in terms of relocation fees. It's also $450 million in terms of off-site transportation infrastructure costs the Raiders have to pay for. And it's also $200 million in off-site parking costs the Raiders have to cough up, among other costs that the Raiders are discovering as we speak. And I don't care when anybody says the casinos have not stepped up and written a check. It hasn't happened. They're all sitting back waiting for the Raiders to see if they can, scrounge up more money. Meanwhile, you stay in Oakland. You stay in Oakland, they won't have to pay that at all. Hennessy, how you doing? Hennessy says, if the Raiders stay in Oakland, I still wouldn't consider Mark a good owner. He put so much effort to move. We're what that effort for Oakland. I'm going to try rephrasing that. I think what Hennessy is saying is this: if the Raiders stay in Oakland, I still wouldn't consider Mark a good owner. He put so much effort into moving, and that was wasted effort on Oakland. Now, I think I got that right. Hennessy, tell me if I did not. Eric Madison writes, Trump will be impeached soon because of Russia. Timothy Brunell says, go Arizona. And what is the score there? Arizona 7. It's tied. Tied game right now. It's third quarter. Third quarter already? 12 minutes and 36 seconds in the third quarter. Wow, that game is moving fast. And 7:01 for me, which means I have to think about jamming a little bit. But not yet. John Davis says starting war with Korea is not helping either. No, you know what? And Michael Madrano says, what's your opinion about the Department of Defense giving the league money for those celebrations. I don't know about that. Oh, I think what you're talking about is the Department of Defense's long-standing money to the NFL as a sponsor. That goes back a long way. And if you're equating I fight on this one. Okay, first of all, putting the Department of Defense in there and saying because the NFL takes money they shouldn't be doing that is ridiculous. All right, anybody who knows government knows doggone well even the Defense Department does not put up with violations of free speech. Okay, so I don't even want to hear that. That's got nothing to do with nothing. It just doesn't. All right, yeah, it just doesn't. As a guy who's a fan of defense spending, as a guy who has written papers on, I'm talking about myself, on the impact of federal defense spending on economic development in the country, I don't want to hear it. That's ridiculous. Absolutely wrong. Joseph Bensman says people have a problem with these player protesters, but what about Trump? He's the one under criminal investigation. See, for treason. He's using his bully pulpit to insult the NFL. No, he's using his bully pulpit to keep your attention off that. He doesn't want. Look, this is the way it works. Okay, he wants the media to talk about all this other stuff. Okay, get folks riled up. And then some segment will say, "Oh, that Trump is such a great, strong guy," and so his approval ratings get up a little bit, and so he gets it through his agenda. The trouble is that he's picking the wrong fights. He's picking the wrong issues, and he knows he's in trouble. He knows he really screwed up. With every tick-tock of the clock of every day, he knows he screwed up. And he's trying to take our gaze off it. So he thinks of the next outlandish thing to say. I mean, look. Remember how many times has he done this? I mean, you ought to be smart enough to figure this out by now. Instead, some of you guys are getting gamed again. Knock it off. Think. Use your heads. Folks, come on. You're brighter than that. Oh. As Karen Christensen says, free Alden Smith. Yes. Eric Madison says, don't forget B of A will not put money toward the cost overrun. Exactly. And let's see here. Joseph Bensman says, that's what I'm saying, Zinni. Laugh out loud. He's just deflecting from the Russian investigation. He doesn't care about what is right or best for anyone other than himself. He's always been a con man, but the trouble is the man is president. That's what bothers me. As a person, me, who grew up with the idea of government employs the smartest and the best and the brightest. The people that put a man on the moon. That's the era that I grew up in as a kid. We put Neil Armstrong on the moon. I remember watching TV when that happened. Yeah, we had a television. Okay? I remember being in love with the Apollo series, having my little Apollo model and everything. We were can-do. That's what I remember. So when I think of government, I think of people like, even though he made mistakes, I think of the folks who brought microeconomics and system dynamics and analysis to government allocation of resources. The development of a management science process occurred starting in the late 50s and through the early 60s, and it created the RAND Corporation, Research and Development, RAND, which is headquartered to this day in Santa Monica. I wanted to go to school. I wanted to get my PhD at RAND. All right, that was my ambition as a teenager. Okay, that was where I lay. So that's why I'm so animated about where we've gotten to. We should not be here as a country. We should not be in this position. Okay? We shouldn't. All right? But we let McNamara brought operations research into the military. That was the 60s. And much of the techniques that are created then gave rise to, and this is a long story I'm not going to tell here, the John F. Kennedy School of Government at Harvard University. I wanted to go there, but they didn't quite have exactly what I wanted, so I wound up going to Berkeley for my planning degree, but pretty much doing exactly the same thing I was going to do at the Kennedy School. The difference between Berkeley and the Kennedy School was Berkeley was #1 in the country, but it was like 1/10 the cost at that time. So, all right. So I'm really married to the idea of good government using science and analysis to achieve proper resource allocation for us all. That's what I'm talking about. That's got nothing to do with Donald Trump. He doesn't care a whiff about that. President Obama did. Okay. President Bush did. Bush W. Every president down the line had some concern about that. This guy, care less. That's not what our government's supposed to be. I'm sorry, it's not. It doesn't serve anybody. So now, just so you understand where I'm coming from, all right? Karen Christian says, well, there's a lot of cognitive dissonance in the media. Eric Madison says, Zinni, I have a question. Do you think Bank of America will pull out of this deal soon? You know, I don't think so. I think that Bank of America wants to help save face, and so they're not going to cause anyone to lose face. I think what will happen is they'll offer their loan, and as Elliot McCabe said, they're not going to go further. And he did say that. The $850 million, and that's it. Okay? So, 831 Scott. Hey, how you doing, 831 Scott? He says, I read the GOP healthcare plan last night. I don't know how they can say it's a good plan. It's shaking his head. It's not. And so, and Joseph Bensman said, and sadly, even people like John Glenn had a price. Remember the Keating 5? Yeah, sure do. I will never get over how many people thought somehow in 2016, Trump cared about them. It's sad. It's very sad. It's very sad. Ed Reed says, hey, Zen, keep up the good work. Thank you, sir. I still think the deal will fall apart, and that's why Mr. MC got an extension. A backdoor deal's going on to stay in Oakland. Yes, it is. It's a backdoor deal. And I also think that that's why, and I have to say it, I believe the whole lawsuit effort might fall apart because of that. And it's difficult to turn around and say, I'm going to sue you if you're going to keep them in the city at the same time. You got to do one or the other. Okay? So, and let's face it, what we all want is for the Raiders to stay. Now, I know some people don't want to hear that possibility, but if you really think about it in your logical heart of hearts, that is one end game that can happen. It really is. So, it really is. Now, the 831 Scott, I got that one. Okay. And, oh, by the way, folks, when you have a chance, as I always, like to request, and I'm going to be on back later tonight, and I've got to think about getting going here very soon. But as much as I love being here and doing this, but invest. Double shares night. And that'll be the case when I get back. So double shares night. Or if you don't, you see it there, you can go down here and invest, right? Now, what else is happening in the NFL has got nothing to do with that. Or Vegas has got nothing to do with that. Whew! I will tell you. I've got to change the editing of this video. What did you guys think before I continue? If you didn't have a chance to hear my interview with Oakland Raiders tight end Ray Chester last night, it's right here. You can go back, listen to at least the first 30 minutes. I really enjoyed talking with Ray, and thank you all very much for your input as it was going on. He wants to come back. And I think that's the longest anybody has talked to Ray in any medium, just straight away. I mean, he's been on, Channel 5 for like a few minutes, right? And then when I talked to him on video a couple of times, it's been maybe for 2 or 3 minutes. But straight away, Ray Chester had the platform to let her rip, and he did. Eric Young says, isn't that money from Bank of America just a loan in the first place? It certainly is. It certainly is. Yeah, it's not. It's the same exact kind of loan that, well, not exact. There's a difference. that the Atlanta Falcons secured for the Atlanta Falcons Stadium, the Mercedes-Benz Dome. Eric Madison says, like you said in the past, the Raiders will be worth $3.2 billion if they stay in Oakland, so there's 3.2 billion reasons to stay. Thank you. Absolutely. And that's really what it is. I mean, this area, like it or not, is really getting expensive. It's I'm waiting for the crash because, look, the reality is that as much as people like to talk about this being a tech-fueled, economy, startups are given money by venture capitalists, but only 3% of the venture capital companies in the world actually make any money, and the rest fall apart. At some point, this has got to slow down. I personally hope it slows down after I get funded. Okay? But, all right? Just saying, okay? Not soon. I need some time. All right? So Karen Christian says, I would love to see more Raiders on. How about George Atkinson? Great idea, Karen. I saw him at Walmart opening in Fairfield. Very nice. I'll work on George. I know him for years personally. Got his number. 831 Scott says, loved it. Ray Chester should be in the Hall of Fame. Yes, the sound quality wasn't the great, but on his end, but I could still hear him. That's great. Yeah, there's something about when I talk to a person on Skype or call them, if I turn it up, it seems like the noise gets a little smashed, and I had to turn it down a little bit. I had to find that sweet spot, but I didn't want it to be so low that you couldn't pick him up. Okay, and there wasn't equalizer to change things, and I have to see if Skype has an equalizer or something where I can have the sound controlled as it is produced. If you all have any ideas, I'm all ears and eyes. Okay. So now, you want McKibben? Ed Reed wants me to get Scott McKibben on. Okay, I'll work on that as well. So who did I miss on here? Thank you for the thumbs up. Thank you very much. Excuse me. We've got. I hate that. It's like you're doing work and the occasional fly comes around to decide that are flies he's or she's, or are they asexual? I don't know. But the fly just came around like this. I was like, go away. How'd you get in here anyway? You're not supposed to be in here. This is like, get out. Ugh. Amy Trask did say, oh, by the way, speaking of which, I do have someone who did express an interest in coming on the show. And she is, drum roll, Dr. Jen Welter, the first female coach in NFL history. And she's got a book coming out next month, which is right around the corner. So I've got to get on the horn and see if I can secure her. Because she did say a month ago that she'd love to come on the live stream. And I don't mean like where I call her. I mean Skype style, where you see her face, okay? I do the call part because sometimes there are guests who don't have the proper webcam, or maybe it doesn't quite work right or whatever, or you have to go through the rigmarole, or they don't normally use it. So I just say, you know what, I'll call you. Makes everything easier, all right? So for what team? Oh, Karen, she was with the Arizona Cardinals that are on television right now. Dr. Jen Welter. Yeah, Dr. Jen. Great lady. I met Dr. Jen at Radio Row thanks to my friend Beth Silverberg at the at the Super Bowl 50 in San Francisco at Moscone West. That's where we met. So yeah, hit it off, kept in touch, and she's through her agent said, hey, I'd love to come on. Actually, not through her agent. Both her and her agent said that. So there you go. All right. But she was with the Arizona Cardinals. And like I said, she's got a book coming out. So all right, folks, it's 7:16. I will be back later. I've got to go. I'll be back later late, but I've got to go. And Eric Young says, flies are annoying. That's all you need to know. Yeah, that's it. You're absolutely right about that. But the show must fly on. All right, folks. I'll see you all very soon. And like I said, don't forget, And it's, you know, it is a double shares night. Once again, invest. Any chance for getting Roger Goodell on? I'll try. I've tried in the past. I'll try again. You never know. The worst anyone could say is no. Joseph Binsman says, did you hear that Kushner and Ivanka have both been using private emails? Yeah, I heard that. Oh, boy. Maybe I can get them on the show. John Davis says, yes, they're a male and female. Oh, is that right? Okay. Oh, what time tonight? It'll be more like 10 o'clock to 10:30. Yeah. Because, in fact, I better get going now. Okay. See you guys later. Bye-bye. Oh, and by the way, I have a special announcement. I'm the guest. I'm going to be covering the squash championship, doing a live stream, and combining all the news into one long live stream on Wednesday night. More details early tomorrow before Godfather Gray Show, but I'll be on tonight later to talk about that as well. See ya.